It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another Q&A video. This is going to be Q&A number 56. Now I know it's been a while, I haven't done a video in like a couple days, but if you've been following the channel and if you have seen my update video about the channel, you know that it's going to be like this for a couple more months. So in this coming year, I'm not going to be able to produce that much videos. I will be doing as much videos as I can, but obviously I have to reduce on the number of videos I do because of tight schedules that I have. Now, I'm going to do my best to produce as much videos as I can in this time period, but I appreciate those of you who have stuck with the channel, who have supported the channel, who are continuing to support the channel and participating in these Q&A videos. But as I said in my other video, it's going to be like this for another whole year. But just one more thing, as I said in my other video, I will continue to do monthly Walking Dead comic reviews, although it's most likely going to come out on the Friday. So the comic itself usually is released on the Wednesday, but my review will most likely be released on the Friday because during the week I don't really have a lot of time to do that. So that's one type of video that I can do. The next are the Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead trailer/promo breakdowns. I'm going to continue to do those after the episodes air and, give my very brief thoughts about the episode as well before I actually jump into the breakdowns for those videos. And obviously the Q&As, but the Q&As might not come out weekly like I've been doing before. As you saw with this Q&A, it took 2 weeks for me to be able to release it. So the Q&A videos will be released, but it's most likely not going to be coming out every week. That being said, let's get right into this Q&A video. I know the introduction was a bit too long, but I just wanted to keep everyone updated about what's going on the channel. So as always, if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead's TV show and comic book, you may not want to watch this video because it may spoil some things for you. That being said, let's get right into this. The first question comes from Plants vs. Zombies Killer 101, and you say, not a Q&A though, but keep up the work. Thank you, I appreciate your support. And the next question also comes from you. You have two questions. The first one, who will die, Morgan or Carol? So I think going with what happens in the comics after the war, Morgan's death will go a long way in making that story arc happen and for it not to feel forced. So yeah, I think for the comic arc to happen the way it did, Morgan needs to die. And I don't think that they're gonna kill both Morgan or Carol, so I'm gonna go with Morgan. The next question you have is, why we have not heard about Tobin? That's actually a great question. He was one of those characters that they spent a bit of time on, especially with getting him close to Carol and everything, but they seem to have kind of scratched his story and he's kind of gone into the background once again. He was in the background, he came forward a little bit, but now he's just in the background again. But I think All Out War will be a time for him to shine again, and if they have anything special planned for him, we will see something from him in All Out War in Season 8. The next question comes from Ronnie Thomas. You ask, what if Rick was the villain and Negan the good guy? What would have been different? Well, everything would have been different. Honestly, I think we can't really think about something like that because there would be so many changes that it's going to be like a fantasy world. So it would be cool speculating and thinking, but it's just one of those what if situations that has countless of scenarios and predictions. So it's best not to, go with those sorts of what if scenarios. The next question also comes from Ronnie Thomas. You ask, which show do you prefer, Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead? That's a great question. I've actually discussed my opinions about this. I like The Walking Dead way more than Fear the Walking Dead. Although Fear the Walking Dead has gotten better in the last season, but I still feel that it doesn't have the storytelling, character development, and everything that goes with it that pulls you into the story and gets you to be connected to these characters. I don't think Fear has that. So I'm gonna go with The Walking Dead. The next question comes from Royal Sking 35 Royal. You ask, if The Walking Dead switches networks, which network would you want them to go to? I'd like HBO. That's actually an interesting question, and obviously this question is sparked from the recent lawsuit. I have a separate video talking about it that you can go and check out, but I think if it got to that point that it had to switch the network, I would like it to go to something like Amazon or HBO as well, because I think there's more artistic freedom in those networks, which doesn't exist in AMC or is very, very limited. Now, that being said, I think it's best to make it stay where it is and make things work out, because even if they switch networks, there's going to be some changes. In the long run, those changes may be good, but in the short run, we're going to get a lot of things that may impact the story and where it's going. So I think as much as I want the writers to have the freedom, and because HBO and Amazon and networks like that have more of that freedom, I want The Walking Dead to go to those channels instead of staying on AMC. But that being said, I think that's going to hurt the story, and I rather it stay where it is. That's a great question though. The next question comes from John Borrego. You ask, how long will Rick be in the show for? That's a great question. I think in the show, if Rick dies, most likely that's going to be the end of the show. In the comics, it's a little different, but in the show, I feel like at the moment, if Rick dies, then there would really be no more story. And because of that, I feel like they may just end the show if Rick dies, especially with the changes they've made, the remixes they've done, and things like that. So yeah, I think if we're specifically talking about the show, if Rick dies, that would be the end of the show. So the length of the show would be as long as Rick is alive. Next question comes from Royal Skin 35 Royal. You ask, could we see Eugene kill Siddiq in issue 171? That's actually a very interesting question. I think there may be a bit of tension, maybe a physical altercation between them in the next issue, but I don't think that it'll lead to Eugene killing Siddiq. I think if that happens, I'll be very shocked. It's a possibility, but I put the possibility of Eugene killing Siddiq at like less than 5%. The last question comes from the one and only bad guy, and you ask, will they replace a different actor for Carl in The Walking Dead during a time skip? That's actually an interesting question. They could, but I hope they don't, because it will impact the story. Obviously, they're gonna have to deal with the time skip and having Carl age, but I hope that they don't change the actor, because that's going to impact the story to some extent. So I hope that in the time skip they have something planned to make Carl look a bit older instead of changing the actor, because if they change the actor, I think that's going to hurt the show. But that's it for this Q&A video. Thank you for participating. If you want to participate in my next Q&A video, write your questions in the comment section below. Make sure to put Q&A before your question so I can find it. So I'll see you next time for another super video.